Hello, my name is Gordon McAllister and I'm the Dean of CAGS. As an instructor, I'd like to talk to you about our instructor agreement, the expectations and the contract that we have as we enter into a working relationship with you. When I first came, I looked at the instructor agreement for those who taught online and those who taught on ground. And there was an interesting contrast. Online, there are about 27 different expectations, and on ground there were 5, 6, 7, 8. One of the things we're trying to do is unify our program and our courses and our approach to education. So we're trying to unify something like the instructor agreement. The other thing is we want it to reflect best practices, and we also want it to be so specific and so limited that it really is a realistic set of expectations that can lead to an appropriate accountability. Now, when it comes to accountability, I don't want you to be intimidated by that word. Accountability is a way of measuring effectiveness and success. It's a criteria, it's a standard. And I want you to know, as I look at our faculty, some folks are doing just a great job. Sometimes I get secondhand reports, frankly, of some anxiety on the part of faculty who are afraid of doing something wrong, and they don't know about this new dean, and they don't know if they're going to get, canned or asked not to teach again because of something they've done. I want you to know that will never be the case unless we've got some gross immorality. That's always the exception that folks have to throw in. It will never be the case that if you do something once, maybe even twice, that it's grounds for you to move on. If you do something that's not appropriate, that's grounds for the administration to get involved in helping coach, helping redirect your time, your effort, helping you to be more effective. And then, as you grow in development, you may not be as great and as effective as ultimately you will be. There may be an intermediate step, but that's okay. You do have to get from here to there. And if, again, there's a particular problem or issue that we circle back around and say, well, we still need more work here, that's expected to be a part of the process. So don't be anxious about doing something and getting in trouble or getting canned. That's not going to happen. You may get a phone call from me and say, let's look at this particular practice, or let's look at the fact that this isn't happening and talk about why it needs to happen, and you'll have an opportunity to make it happen. Let's go into the specifics of the instructor agreement rather quickly. You'll be receiving a copy in an email form if you haven't already, and it will be a part of the official agreement between us. Some of these things, maybe even all of them, are something you're doing now. For others, this will be a brand new set of expectations. We're going to start with the discussion posts and look at these issues here. We're asking for you to post on at least 3 days, and we're asking that at least half of the posts be 3 or more sentences. We want you to be interacting with your students. We want you to be fostering a communication. We want you to use the discussion as an opportunity for instruction. So we're talking about way more than simply affirming a student. So about half of your posts, we're looking to be 3 sentences or more. We're looking for at least half to have a direct reference to the reading, helping the student think again and look back at the reading and reflect on the reading. We want at least one post in the week to be referring to a biblical concept. Now, when we talk about the number of posts, we could arbitrarily, and most online schools kind of arbitrarily set a number, but we want to be realistic, and we also want to respond to our own specific situations. So we're setting that number at about 1/3 of the students who are enrolled in your course. So if you've got 21 students, then 7 posts, 1/3 in a week will be the expectation. 15, it'll be 5, but we never want to get fewer than 4 posts. So those will be the expectations in each one of your threads in a discussion in a unit. You may only have 1, but if you have 2, then in each one of these threads, we're looking for these numbers. And clearly, these are just numbers. I'm very aware of that, and it's not like we're going to turn into bean counters here. But the research shows that really effective online instructions is the result of several things: the medium, the use of the medium, and also the quantity and quality of the instructor's communication. So we're looking here at quantity issues, realizing that's a prerequisite in order to get onto the area of quality. So let's go on. We're asking that students' weekly assignments be graded and returned with feedback in 5 days. Now, I've mentioned this a couple of times before, but we're coming down now to the time to be making a commitment and a specific expectation of faculty that all students' papers be graded, include feedback, and be returned in 5 days. Now, I want you to know I'm never going to ask you to do something that I haven't done myself as an instructor, or that hundreds and thousands of other instructors have not been able to do. We're asking for things that are best practices and that really are possible, even though they may seem, wow, you're starting to ask a lot. It may call for some restructuring of your time, some reallocation of how you spend your time. But these are very doable, and they are, again, a part of the expectation that students really appreciate, and they really need to have that feedback from you, that grade, that evaluation, so they can incorporate it into their next project. So within 5 days, we need for you to have that grade and feedback back to the student. When it comes to that feedback, and this also applies to posts, we would like your feedback to include references to the reading, that it be personalized to the student. That's avoiding cut and paste. Also, we want your feedback to be encouraging and then to be instructive with a balance of both professionalism and personableness. This balance is really important. You can get so chummy with students, come across so casual, that you lose some of the professionalism that's necessary for them to have confidence in the material and your ability to give feedback and to make comment. So we need an element of professionalism, but we also need to be personable and encouraging, to call students by name, to use emotional words when you're making a post or when you're giving your feedback on a paper, to be encouraging, to be instructive, to be supportive. Those are important issues, and those are a part of the expectation of the feedback on graded papers and when you're making comments in the posts and the discussions. On to the next slide here. We see that we do need to be taking attendance weekly. This is nothing new, and any participation in the course counts as attendance. When it comes to final grades, we're asking that they be submitted within 10 days of the course's end. That's nothing new, and when I said you need to have the grades back in 5 days, that's for the assignments and projects during the course. And then we will ask that you post the grade and comments in the course. Even though it's over, students still have access after, and your comments and that particular grade is something they look for. So it'll be important not just to submit them to us, but to make sure they get into the grade book. When it comes to those monthly faculty meetings, I'm looking forward to our interaction. And I also want to invite you to give me a phone call, drop by the office. Sure, I've got lots of things to do, but that phone call from you or when you drop by, that's one of the most important things in my day. And I really want to hear from you, as I've mentioned in other settings and in other situations. So let's work together to make MACU all that it can be. Let's work together to make the courses that you teach all that they can be, the best. Let's make the program that those courses are a part of solid, great, something as every student can be proud of and march out of here confident that they've been equipped in a specific area of expertise. Let's do it together. For the honor and glory of the Lord, for our students, so that we can be successful and effective together. And again, always, that we might serve the Lord God Most High and our students.